A fully grown adult elephant can weigh up to 14,000 pounds. Yet, if you look closely at its front ankle, you'll see it is entirely restrained by a laughably thin, frayed piece of twine. If you were walking past this animal, you would naturally look around for the heavy reinforcements. But there are no steel chains, no massive concrete pylons, and no reinforced cages. The physical reality is glaring. A single casual step from a creature of this size would instantly shatter the twine holding its leg. Since there is no physical mechanism capable of holding this giant, the restraint isn't mechanical. We have to look for a far more powerful, invisible force keeping the animal pinned to the dirt. Millions of highly capable adult humans are frozen in place in exactly the same way. For people, these thin ropes look like stalled careers we complain about but never leave, creative passions we quietly abandon, and relationships we avoid out of fear of failure. To cure our own self-imposed stagnation, we have to dissect the exact psychological architecture that keeps the elephant standing perfectly still. We have to rewind to the animal's youth. When the elephant was a newborn calf, its handlers used the exact same rope to tie it to a post. To a fragile 50-pound infant, that small piece of twine possessed the structural integrity of a titanium wall. The calf would pull, yank, and throw its entire body weight against the knot. It would attempt to break free repeatedly, exhausting itself for days, until the friction caused actual physical pain. The calf eventually stops pulling. It doesn't stop out of a philosophical choice or a lack of willpower, but because it experiences absolute, undeniable physical defeat. We experience early constraints in our own childhoods. An early academic failure, a harsh social rejection, or a lack of financial resources act as our inescapable early tethers. Psychologists refer to the resulting psychological barrier as learned helplessness. This animated diagram shows exactly how learned helplessness works mechanically, and attempted action leads directly to absolute failure. After enough cycles through this loop, the neurological system trains itself to stop expending energy on escape, resulting in a severe drop in effort output. We have to acknowledge a harsh truth. Those childhood barriers were entirely real and insurmountable at the time you experienced them. But look at the divergence as decades pass. This comparison shows an external environment that is completely static. The barrier metric on the left remains flat. On the right, internal biological capacity grows exponentially as it gains thousands of pounds of muscle. To protect the subject from wasting energy on a fight it assumes it will lose, the brain artificially clamps down on that growth. It cements the childhood limitation into place, recording it as a permanent law of physics. Because the brain has hardened this belief into objective fact, the adult never even attempts to test the barrier's strength again. The literal physical limitation of the past is gone. It has been completely replaced by a psychological cage in the present. Snap back to the present day. You are looking at a vast, intimidating adult elephant, standing submissively beside a frail, unchanged piece of rope. The adult creature is currently a prisoner of a ghost. It is held captive by a memory of a physical state that no longer exists. You possess a massive accumulation of skills, resources, and emotional resilience that you have built up over decades. You are vastly larger and stronger than the child who failed those early tests. Your past failures and limitations dictate your future only if you fail to recognize your current adult strength. To fix this, you have to actively isolate and identify the specific, outdated beliefs that are currently restricting your daily choices. This timeline maps a single past failure against your drastically larger present capacity. When you audit your old limitations against the reality of your current capabilities, you can see that your adult capacity completely engulfs the old problem. You then have to take a necessary physical action. You make the conscious decision to take one real-world step forward to test the tension of the invisible rope. What you find is a sharp mismatch between your expectation of resistance and the reality of how easily the barrier gives way. The limitation you assumed was a permanent fixture of your world turns out to be a fragile relic. The invisible tethers of childhood only hold as long as you rely on the memory of the calf you used to be. The moment you move with the weight of who you are now, the restraint has no choice but to break.